concerns on Wainman line.
Thank you. I am pulling item D2.1, the Seniors Month 2024. And the Abeyance list, were you going to pull that also? No. Okay. All right, so thank you. Let's go to agenda item E, the adoption of the regular agenda. May we have a motion to adopt?
Absolutely. So the motion reads that the agenda be adopted, including consent items, the exception of items number D2.1 and D2.2.
Okay, do I have a mover? Moved by member McIntyre, seconded by member Taylor. All in favor? And carried. Thank you. Okay, agenda item F, reports from officials for direction. So I would like to go to item F1.1, and that's planning report P24-018, kennels and dog daycare facilities, and over to Ms. Mandeville.
Thank you, Chair. Essentially, this report, township staff are seeking clarification regarding the approach to fulfilling the previous motion adopted by council. So the previous motion is within the background of the report there, and staff are seeking direction on how to best utilize resources and ensure consistency and conformity with the upper level planning documents, as all decisions of council must conform to those upper level planning documents, as council is aware of. Therefore, staff continue to have concerns with allowing as of right kennels in residential areas. So as stated in the report, it is the professional planning opinion that the current planning policy framework consisting of the provincial policy statement, the growth plan for the Greater Golden Horseshoe, the County of Simcoe and the County of Simcoe official plan generally direct the broader kennel land use to rural and agricultural lands as an accessory use to reduce potential conflicts with sensitive land uses such as residential. Staff did provide an overview of a few doggy daycare type regulations in other Ontario municipalities. As council can see, the majority of those are within agricultural or rural or commercial zones. There is one example listed where they do have a limited number and size and breed of dogs as a home occupation. So that is something that council could direct staff to look into. Essentially, we're here to give council an opportunity to further direct which route they would like staff to take. So the three routes for committee's consideration are: number one, to maintain the status quo, so no further action taken by staff to review land use planning documents. Number two, direct staff to include a review of kennels and doggy daycare as part of the official plan. And then that would trickle down to also reviewing it as part of the zoning bylaw after we do the official plan. So there is a number 2, 1, and 2, so or 2A and 2B, if you will. And then number 3 is to initiate an independent official plan amendment and zoning bylaw amendment. I would caution council that initiating an independent official plan amendment right now would likely slow down our new official plan process, as the County of Simcoe is the approval authority, not only for our new official plan that we're working hard to get done, but also an independent official plan amendment as well. So, you know, we would have to then say to the county, which of these are we working on? And if we're working on the independent OPA, then we're sidelining the official plan review. If we're working on the official plan review, what's the point of the independent OPA? So essentially there's the three options there, and staff are looking for a direction on which route to proceed with.
Thank you. Any discussion? Member Jansen?
Thank you. And through the chair, if we're looking at option 2, will that allow us to achieve what I believe council is seeking? That would be the ability of a residential, a home-based doggy daycare type business in a residential area.
Over to you, Ms. Mandeville.
Option 2 definitely we could look at that as part of the official plan, the new official plan we're currently undertaking. So we are in the final stretches of that, but we can make sure that there is potentially some permissive policies for some kind of small scale residential doggy daycare type land use in there. If council is thinking about going with option 2, we would just seek direction on if it would be included in the future zoning bylaw, or if staff would also be doing a zoning bylaw amendment after the new OP is adopted. So there's just those two like sub points at the end of option 2. And again, I should caveat any of these options we do have to review with the applicable provincial and county policies to ensure consistency, as well as the clerk would need to then undertake a review of the licensing bylaw. And it is my understanding that even if there's only a handful of dogs, they would still need to be licensed.
Okay, thank you. Member McIntyre.
Through the chair, it's my understanding that Georgina has more open sort of a bylaw on this, limited residential zoning as a home occupation, and minimum lot area required dependent on the size and the breed of the number of dogs. What through the chair to Ms. Mandeville, what have we reviewed that, or we looked at any of that sort? Is that the one that you indicated possibly may have some leeway on it in terms of residential kennels?
Through the chair to Member McIntyre, yes, the town of Georgina is mentioned in the report as the one example we did locate that has a
that nature. It can be declined at that time. I understand further that the incident on Grand Tamarack could have happened on my street, on anybody's street. Somebody walking a little dog and 3 dogs off leash, that could happen anywhere. The controlled environment of the kennel bylaw would prohibit dogs running free on the streets. So I'm going back to my original comment that I would prefer to see the one requirement that Ms. Mandeville said instead of the 2, where you only have one to make one application instead of going through the OP and everything else. So again, each case is on its own merit, and I believe that we've got a strong enough staff here. We're not going to be overrun by 10 people, 20 people. 2 or 3 in each ward here are going to apply for this, and if they do, they'll have to get in a queue. However, for my opinion, I really strongly feel that each case reviewed on its own merit has a lot of teeth, and I think that's the way we should go. And I'm still going to stay with my number 2. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Burkett.
Thank you, through you, Madam Chair. So if option 2 is something we're going to look at, so I think before I can even vote on it, I would need to know, is there a minimum lot size that would trigger someone opening a doggy daycare? Again, I go back to homes that are very close in proximity within our settlement areas. Would there have to be a lot size that we could consider? Like, I don't think I can vote in favor of the way option 2 is written. I would like some clarity as to, first, if we vote in favor of something similar to option 2, we have to go back and amend our official plan, correct? Is that what we have to do?
Ms. Mandeville?
through the chair to Member Burkett, correct. So staff are currently reviewing kind of a final draft, I suppose I would call it, before it's released to the public at the end of the month. So there is a limited timing, aka the next 2 days, for us to put something into the official plan in this capacity. So yes, we would basically have to craft something to put it into the official plan in the next couple of days, because it's going to be released publicly by the end of next week. And then, this committee could proceed with option 2, just that we put it into the official plan, which would then allow for people to do a site-specific zoning bylaw amendment. So that's an application for rezoning before Planning and Development Committee. That would then trigger the, notice to the neighbors, the public meeting, all of that on a site-specific, property-specific basis. So that could be a version of option 2 for the committee's consideration. And then we wouldn't have to think about lot sizes and all of that kind of thing at this moment.
Sorry, supplementary if I may through you, Madam Chair. So we wouldn't, or we would have to think about lot sizes?
Through to Member Burkett, we would not have to think about lot sizes. We could, I think, craft some policies into our official plan that would generally allow for it in the official plan, but then because it's not allowed for in the zoning bylaw, they would still have to apply for that zoning bylaw amendment. So I don't think we would have to think about lot sizes, setbacks, etc., because the wording in the official plan could be such to mitigate impacts on neighboring property owners and more general policy terms like that, rather than specific, lot sizes, specific setbacks. Typically, that's more in the zoning bylaw.
Actually, supplementary if I may through you, Madam Chair. So that could come later if you crafted something. So it wouldn't be a lot of work for you to now submit it. How much would it hold up our official plan if we do this?
Through the chair back to Member Burkett, I don't believe it will hold up the official plan. The Director of Planning and I have already kind of been thinking about this as our consultant. So we do already have some ideas on how this could be incorporated. So I don't think it would hold up the official plan.
Supplementary if I may through you, Madam Chair. If that's okay. No, I just if council votes in favor of so we would have to change option 2 based on what you said. So later, if the official plan, when it's approved, planning staff would have to come back and put in all the parameters if and when someone applies for doggy daycare, and that's when all the other things would be triggered. Lot size, the neighbors would all be notified, anything else that would have to come forward. Is that when it would be or no?
Through the chair back to Member Burkett. It depends, I guess, how committee directs staff to proceed. So what I think I'm envisioning from the discussion here today is that you're just going to direct staff to put permissive policies in the new official plan and then leave it at that. So then if someone wants to do one, they need to apply for a zoning bylaw amendment. And then that's when it would be judged on its own merits. We would look at impact to neighbors, the neighbors would get notified, etc.
Okay, thank you. Member Brennan and then Member Cox.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Lot size, with all due respect, still forms a challenge in my mind. I live on Utah. Those lots are all 1 acre. And there are dogs on 2 houses over from each side of my place that I can hear plain as day. I don't mind 1 dog. And when the 2 of them get going, that's even tolerable. Not sure I would appreciate 3 or more dogs yapping while I'm trying to enjoy my backyard. Secondly, the setbacks for something like this, in my view, would be based on noise, not lot size. Like a windmill, where you have to have a setback based on certain decibels. To me, that's where the logic kicks in. The problem is noise. It's not 1 acre or 2 acres or half an acre. It's noise. Thank you.
Member Cox.
Through the chair to Allison. So if we go through this whole amendment for the OP, which is costing all of us money to make sure that everybody has their own business, it's well and good that it's in there and it says there's a zoning bylaw, but now do we not have to do a whole, here are the rules and here are the fines and here are all the things that have to be?
Over to the clerk. Thank you.
Thank you. So, following the official plan and following a zoning bylaw amendment, we still would need to undertake an update to our licensing bylaw for kennels. We don't have a differentiation between doggy daycare and overnight kennels. So, and if we want to even more differentiate between, I'm going to say large kennels versus home-based kennels, then we would need to add 2 more sections to our bylaw. That can be done. It's can be done after we're done the official plan piece to get the wording in place so that it's ready to go whenever someone brings forward a zoning bylaw amendment. But that's another piece that we would have to look at as part of this process. Yes.
Okay, so, sorry. No, go ahead, Matt, and then I'll speak after you if you want. You may be answering. Okay, so that was my one question, and the other one is, so if we weren't in the middle of a OP, would we just do an amendment on its own and it wouldn't affect how this happens? Because is that something that we should maybe just let this official plan get done and then come in with this? Because I'm sorry, I don't want this held up. We have waited so long for this. We have people in homes that are waiting to get money back for garden suites. We have all kinds of things going on that we're sitting here waiting for patiently for 2 years. And I can't let this affect that. So do we allow the OP to get through and then come in when it's a little more clear? Because I have a problem going, okay, I like that. This is not option 2, but I like that. I like that motion. I would prefer you come back with exactly what's going to happen, so I have a clearer view on it before I say okay to something so we can rush it through.
Okay, over to our CEO, please.
Thank you. A couple of points. When Ms. Mandeville mentioned that they have some ideas for the OP, my thought was it may not take our staff more time, but it may take the county more time because it may not be something that is within the county policies, right? I think staff have that concern. I have a bigger concern. If we set dogs aside, we've gone through a whole 3-year official plan process with all sorts of public meetings, and no one ever brought up the idea of kennels. So we're making a bit of a last minute change, but we haven't made those changes for the on-site farm diversified. We've pushed them all through a process. So putting dogs aside, because everybody loves their dogs, and I get that. What do you say to the next person who comes in that isn't part of the official plan? Are we going to go through this exercise every time, or are we going to continue with asking people to make their own applications that are site specific? So just think about broader than dogs when you're discussing. And my last point is Georgina's been used as a lot of examples. So I Googled Georgina while you were talking. They have 267 staff. So just think about that in context of what they can do and what we can do.
Okay, thank you. Member Cox.
Yeah, supplemental. Thank you, because that's where my concern is. I don't want to just do this. We've done it before and we've got ourselves in a pickle or a mess. If we're going to do this, let's do it once and do it right. You know, like have it come back. Let's look at it, make sure this is exactly what we all want. Make sure the public knows, but please don't let it hold up our official plan. That's my one thing. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Member Burkett.
Thank you, through Madam Chair. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to agree. If it's going to hold up the official plan, which we've been waiting patiently for, I forgot about all the people that are waiting for the official plan, to be accepted and finalized. And now we're not being transparent. Again, we're going to make a decision no different than the tree cutting bylaw, and look how it backfired. As much as I love my animals and my dogs as well, I think we're being hasty. So I have to agree. We need something to come back to us at a later date, and then we can push it through to the county. But I think if we're going to do this, we need to hold a public meeting and tell the people what we're planning to do. We can't make a hasty decision again and find ourselves into hot water.
Okay. Member Brennan.
Yeah, just one other item. The idea of localized decision-making as well, where you pit one neighbor against the other, to me is pretty distasteful in a proper planning environment. That can be extremely awkward, and neighbors change in time. So I just don't see that as a long-term solution. Thank you.
Okay, just looking around to the committee, any further comments, questions? No, okay, I'd like to make a comment, is that, okay. I'm actually quite happy about some of the points that were raised by the committee because, and to the clerk, just for confirmation that our current bylaw regulating dogs, kennels, and the control of dogs within the township is bylaw 2020-62. Thank you. Okay, so I did read it carefully, and so I'll start with the issue that Member Burkett brought up around someone who was not in control of 3 dogs on a street. And although our current bylaw says that it's for the control of dogs, there's not one sentence in here that speaks to someone having to be in control of a dog on a street or on a public space. So I think our bylaw has room for improvement. And so I'm glad you raised that, because that was something I was going to raise separate and apart from that. I'm also glad to hear about staff time that was raised, and the concern of that. That's also a concern of mine. And when I listened to Ms. Mandeville's explanation of process and what would happen, certainly if individuals wanted to go into their own zoning bylaw amendment process, that would also eat up staff time. So I think that ongoing, if we have people that have to come to the township family by family, household by household, to ask to do doggy daycare, for example, then that would also eat up time. So I see, regardless of which side, which direction we go, it's going to create staff time. I did read all 86 pages of Georgina's bylaw, and although it's very explicit and very detailed, it's actually, I was glad to see you chose Georgina as one of the 4 or 5 townships you put in the in your report in the agenda. And I did reach out to them, and their bylaw was not in response to problems controlling dogs and doggy daycare. It was actually to do the reverse, to make it very clear. And in effect, what they have are 11 categories related to dogs and cats. So they're not just dogs. We only speak to dogs, but they also speak to cats. And as a counselor, I know that cats and people who board cats and take care of cats is also a concern. So it is more comprehensive. So again, just speaks to our bylaw that there's room for control. The other thing I'd like to say is that there's a website that I'm aware of, and it's only one that I found, and it operates similar to an Airbnb in that people register themselves, and then there's a central clearinghouse for people to look after dogs. And I realize that people don't necessarily at this, may or may not want dogs in their doggy daycares operating next door to them. And again, without a public meeting or some kind of process, we won't exactly know the extent of that. But registered on this, there are 14 home-based businesses, all in Severn. Almost half of those are in Coldwater, the village of. So we already have this. So, and we're doing the economic development study. So what I heard from Ms. Mandeville was that one possible option for a committee was to direct staff to put permissive policies in the official plan. And I like the idea that came from the member about let's let the official plan, the current one, happen if it's only 1 week away from approval, which I just learned today, and that's really good news. And then look at what you and the director have planned as far as your thinking on how we can open up not just one type of business, but a number of businesses that all have to do with pets. Thank you. Ms. Mandeville.
Sorry, Chair, I just wanted to clarify that the official plan will be released publicly next week. There is a public meeting scheduled for the June Planning and Development Committee. There was a report on the last agenda for information that spoke to those dates and those milestones. So I just wanted to clarify that we're not a week away from adoption or approval of the official plan. We're a week away from it being released publicly on our website.
Okay, thank you. And then when you spoke to the planning and development meeting, you don't mean next week, you mean next month? Thank you. Okay. Yes, over to the CEO.
Thank you. And if I could just clarify on the staff time, the chair is correct on it. It will take the same amount of staff time no matter which way you go. But if you do it globally, then it's taxpayer funded for the businesses. If people are required to do applications, then it's applicant funded. So it's a different funding mechanism.
Okay, thank you. Member Cox?
Through the chair, I'd like to have a motion that this come back with the staff has heard what we've had to say with some information on the possibility of what the pros and cons are. But we don't want it to interfere with our official plan, but we need to have more information so that when you bring it back, if we need to direct you maybe again, so that this is done, as I said before, once and done right once. And I just think that is the proper thing to do. Take our time, look at all the other ones and make sure that when we're doing it, it is done. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Member Cox. Ms. Mandeville?
If I could just have some clarification, I'm sure the clerk is wondering the same. Did we want public consultation before we bring forward a potential official plan amendment? Or did you want us to do public consultation as part of a proposed official plan amendment? And to clarify timing, we'd probably be looking at next year.
Member Cox?
Supplemental, I just need to see what on paper, how we're going to handle this. That's what I want to see first. And then we can talk about a meeting or not. But I just need, I don't know about everybody else, but I think we need to see on paper this and this and this, and maybe the clerk could do this and this. But it's just that I can't okay an option when I don't know all the ins and outs of it.
Okay, Member McIntyre?
Through the chair. I agree. We can't hold up the official plan for any reason at this moment. We've been on it since, a couple of years or more. I think possibly what Member Cox is saying, and possibly Member Burkett, is get this official plan in place and then address this matter and other matters that may come before us that we can review at that time. At this moment, we cannot hold up the official plan for any reason, no matter what it is. The idea of having each applicant come before us or come before staff is still sits well with me, and I like the idea that we do that. But what's come to light here is the need to have the official plan, which is next week, open to the public, and then what timeline after that happens, that's beyond our control. But we need to do the official plan first and foremost, and then applicants for kennels and applicants for babysitting in my home and many other wedding venues, etc., can come as they come. We're still going to control who and what is going to have a home business. And I think that, I'm not sure, take a year and bring it to next year, but it could certainly come in the fall session of this council. So just to reiterate, I think that the two members beside me, Cox and Burkett, have an idea to get the plan through, and I have to agree with that no matter what happens in the offing. Thanks.
Okay, over to the CEO, please.
Thanks. Between the clerk, the senior planner, and myself, I think we were cross texting here, but I think we came to the same idea. What we're hearing is that you want staff to report back with specific policies that could be incorporated into a future official plan amendment. Sorry, I'm a little off track of what the senior planners and what I see is you're looking for, you want the official plan. I'm going to say it in English and then the clerk can make it resolution, but you want the official plan passed first. And then you want staff to report back on what would go into an official plan amendment to allow permissive policies and with an applicant driven zoning bylaw amendments so that you still have some control. That isn't quite what you guys said, slightly different. Is that what I'm hearing? Just
so sorry, for myself, I don't know that we need to add the applicant-driven zoning bylaw amendment because that's very prescriptive, and I'd like to see it come back without that in it. So, yeah, anyway, Member Cox.
Through the chair, I need to have that in because if you want to start a business, then it's up to you to apply to start a business. It's not up to everyone else. So we need to have that in there, that it's applicant driven.
CO, please.
Yep. So the reason that I added that was what I've heard from the majority of council is you want to look at it on a case by case basis. So if it's global, then you don't get to look at it case by case. So that's why I included that piece.
Thank you. Then for my own clarification, the applicant-driven zoning bylaw amendment, is that what we heard at the last meeting, I think in March, that would be around $10,000 per applicant to go through? Is that, or is that an application to be licensed as a doggy daycare? I don't know what we're talking about when we're saying an applicant-driven. Sorry, Member Mandeville, thank you.
Through to the chair's question. I'm honestly not sure how much a initiated zoning bylaw amendment costs. There are township fees associated with that for staff time, as their CAO mentioned, because the applicant pays for that. And most applicants require the assistance of a consulting planner. There may be other technical studies or reports that are also required if we're looking at sound mitigation or, buffering or vegetation plantings or other things. So yeah, I would assume it would be probably around that number or potentially even more.
Okay, I'm going to go to the CO, then Member Jansen, and then Member Burkett.
Yeah, just to clarify what Ms. Mandeville said, what you were talking about last month was an applicant-driven OPA and zoning bylaw. So now I think you're getting down to just a zoning bylaw. So it wouldn't be as much as before. I can't put a number to it, as Ms. Mandeville said, but you were talking about a greater application fee than you are now, or application cost, not fee.
Okay, thank you. Member Jansen?
Thank you. And through the chair to Ms. Mandeville, I believe earlier in the conversation you said that the adding the permissive policies was something that could be done within the next couple of days, and it would have limited impact on the release of our official plan in the near future. Can you just, expand on what you said there?
Ms. Mandeville?
Through the chair to Member Jansen. So yes, we believe it could not impact the official plan release, but as the CAO mentioned, these would be new policies that the County of Simcoe has not seen. So I had not thought about that aspect, that may slow the process because the County of Simcoe hasn't seen these policies that we would be trying to develop. I was more thinking from our staff time, from our staff point of view. We could potentially develop those policies within, the next couple of days and have them in the version that's released next week. But it really isn't fair to say that wouldn't slow down the County of Simcoe's process. And I think some of the members here did make excellent comments about how, we're 3 years into this official plan review process and this hasn't come up before. It was not something that we heard at public meetings that we should be, loosening this up. It wasn't comments we received during that very heavy public consultation process. So I do believe that separating these two processes is likely the way to go for full transparency and to get public feedback on just this portion rather than trying in the next couple of days to craft something and put it in the OP.
Mm-hmm.
Member Jansen?
I guess supplemental for me, I guess I'm just, the situation that brought this whole item forward, as well as we're hearing today that there's another dozen or more of these businesses operating within our township. I guess I feel for the small business owner that's trying to make a living off of doing something that they love to do. So delaying it further to me, kind of hinders their ability to operate. And I guess I'm only one voice at council. I understand that. But I would like to see this move forward.
Thank you, Member Jansen. Member Burkett?
Thank you through you, Madam Chair, to your comment about applicant driven. I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, rather than have every person in the township pay the applicant for a business, it would have to be the applicant that would have to put forward their application and whatever fees apply to creating or changing the zoning. And I think that's why we have applicant driven in the motion.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments or feedback? Okay, do we have a motion, please, Madam Clerk?
Did committee want me to put it up on the screen so you could see it?
Thank you.
Okay, so the motion as currently drafted reads that planning report number P24-018 dated May 22nd, 2024, with respect to kennels and dog daycare facilities be received, and the staff report back with specific policies that could be incorporated into a future township official plan amendment and applicant-driven zoning bylaw amendment following the adoption of the new official plan, and further that staff report back regarding potential updates to the canine control and dog licensing bylaw.
Thank you. Member Taylor?
Does this contemplate a further use for residential zoning property through to Ms. Vanderbilt?
Through the chair to Member Taylor, I think the motion on the screen would, thank you to the clerk. ROP is already adopted by this council, so that didn't really work. Sorry. So back to Member Taylor's question. I think what would be directed here is that staff would come back with specific options on what could be included in a future OPA. So, then it would be up to council committee to determine, which of those options would then be implemented through an official plan amendment, or if the process would then stop before we went to public consultation and proceeded. So I think those specific policies on, if it would be in a residential area, what that would look like in our OP options for that would be in that report is what I'm envisioning.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? No, Madam Clerk, can I ask you to read the motion, please, again?
Certainly. The motion reads that planning report number P24-018 dated May 22nd, 2024, with respect to kennels and dog daycare facilities be received, and that staff report back with specific policies that could be incorporated into a future township official plan amendment, an applicant-driven zoning bylaw amendment following the approval of the new official plan, and further that staff report back regarding potential updates to the canine control and dog licensing bylaw.
Thank you. One question in that last paragraph, the name of the bylaw, does that need to be exact or is that okay the way you've written it? Okay. Do I have a mover? Moved by Member Taylor, seconded by Member Cox. All in favor? And opposed? Okay, carried. Thank you. Just going to go back to my agenda here. All right, we're on F2.1 Recreation Report R24-008 Parking Restrictions at Public Boat Launches. And over to the clerk or Mr. Belfry.
Thank you. So the Director of Public Works, Director of Recreation Parks Facilities, and myself all sat down to review all of our locations where we have boat launches, parking, those various concerns that were raised. Following that review, as detailed in the staff report, the report's fairly self-explanatory. Staff at this point in time are not recommending any changes. We will be looking at ensuring all the appropriate signage is there, and we will be conducting increased enforcement this summer. However, at this point in time, staff are not recommending any changes to the parking around boat launches and road allowances within the municipality.
Okay, thank you. Any comments from members, Member Taylor, and then Member Pat?
Yeah, the report says that we do have a half a bylaw person available, and we do have issues in Port Severn for sure. We all knew about it, but the request for a look at C came from a resident that has a property on Kelly's Road, and it's not an inconvenience, it's health and safety, that we have to make sure the roadway is clear to get emergency vehicles through there. And it doesn't even take a bass tournament in Port Severn. It could be like a long weekend, and we should show influence there to make sure people don't park in a no parking zone. And there's adequate signage on Kelly's Road, and hopefully we can have our presence there to keep the road clear and safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Over to the clerk.
Thank you. Staff will be out whenever we are aware of a fishing tournament. We've been trying to find them on websites. However, the dates don't seem to be readily available, at least that I can find. So if council members know when those tournaments are happening, please feel free to let us know. We were out there this weekend and issued 7 fines at Kelly's Road. So we will be out regularly on the weekends now through all the way through till September. So, and even through most of September. So please just let me know if there are dates where there are tournaments happening, even on Lake Couchiching, because then we can direct our enforcement that way and we'll proceed from there.
Thank you, Member Burkett.
Thank you, through Madam Chair, to either Derek or Craig. At the end of Bayou Road where our boat launch is, I know on Saturdays and Sundays they're parked on the one side, but they're also on the road. And I know that I've heard from many residents that, you know, if there's kids down there, they jet out, they can't see. And I don't know, is it a no parking? I know it's not on our boat launch, but on the road, is it no parking along there?
Thank
Hi.
you through the
Sorry, I was just going to say over to you, but go ahead.
thank you through the chair. Yeah, so the parking near the cedar hedge, that's no parking on the one side. The other side has a bit of a grassed area. And that is angled parking, more or less designated for the boat launch. I have seen, 10 vehicles lined up in a row that works well in there. And under our Bayou Road reconstruction job, we have directed the consultant to look at a slight improvement, just a granular area, to assist with some of that and better delineation and signage. But outside of that, we've actually seen very little reports of conflict in the Hedgemere Landing boat launch. Just maybe the odd weekend where we can have some additional enforcement. And I believe that some of the signs are actually sitting inside of the cedar hedges, so we can expose those, get a bit better signage on the one side.
Thank you. Supplementary. Along the road, Derek, are they able to park their trucks and boats? Not on the Hedgemere Landing part, it's Bayou Road. Are they allowed to park all the way down there as well? Or is that no parking along that section?
So through the chair, actually on Bayou Road, like heading past Hedgemere Landing, there's not a specific parking exemption. However, there's a number of driveway entrances, and there is inherent rules against parking against and near a driveway entrance. So perhaps we can review that during the design and look at but no, it's not our intent to have on-street parking on one of our collector roadways effectively. It is to be limited onto Hedgemere Landing.
Thank you. Member Cox.
Yeah, through the chair to Allison. Allison, also the other one I've had complaints about is Heppenstall Landing, because they go up and they park all over the post office lawn and they're in the streets and everything. So it's just, I know it isn't as a popular place, but I from what I'm gathering, it is a well-known place. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. there are no other comments, then I'll ask the clerk for a motion, please.
And the motion reads that Recreation Report number R24-008 dated May 22nd, 2024 be received as information.
Thank you. Do I have a mover? Moved by member McIntyre, seconded by member Taylor. All in favor? And carried. Thank you. Okay, we're on number F 2.2 Recreation Report R24-007 additional office space options. Over to you, Mr. Belfry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Before you have the report on additional office space options for the municipality, as committee is aware, staff went over and had conversations with the Canadian Tire REIT about possibly going over to the Brillia Square Mall to have space in there. When we did our meeting, we looked at 3 different areas within the mall to see what would work. The average from 2,000 square feet to just under 1,000 square feet. We looked at an interior unit, which used to be a hair salon in there. We determined very quickly that that wouldn't work for us just because of the access to the mall for staff. We needed an outside entrance because staff would obviously be working at times outside mall regular hours, and getting in and out of there would be an issue. We looked at another spot, which was the former bookstore area, which works to an extent. It was 2,000 square feet. It does have water in it, so each space we looked at would require major renovation to these spaces. The other unit we looked at was an outside unit out by the No Frills entrance out that way, which has a direct access off the parking lot there. It was a smaller unit, just over 900 square feet. It had, again, water access in the kitchen, but again required major renovation. The one issue with that unit was the current tenant was looking at it as well. And because we see this as a temporary option for us, the Canadian Tire was more willing to go with their current tenant, who would be more of a permanent resident in there. So that takes us back to the Kohl's space of 2,000 square feet, which, in looking at the price points of everything, is coming in around $60,000 a year. They through the charges for renting the space and the charge to use the mall. And looking at that as well, we're estimating $150,000 probably in renovation that would need to go in there when you have to upgrade for a kitchenette area, washroom, getting your furniture in there, any walls that need to be built, counters, branding, all those kind of things. So in reviewing all that, the cost effectiveness of that, staffs looked at how can we do this in a different way then. And it was looking at meeting room 3 in the back of this building and turning it into office kiosk stations that can accommodate our staff until we get to the expansion of this building. We also considered the hallway to the other side of the building where there is a current desk there, walling that off too and creating an office there just to get us there. In addition, we looked at sea cans, not large ones, like no more than 20 feet long. If they are required just to store materials that we have in here, and ones with sort of the garage door open that are a bit more secure than not as beat up looking to put in your parking lot. So those were the options we looked at. And so staff have brought back this report just saying, we don't think we should be going to the Canadian Tire route, and we should be looking at a reno in here. And we're asking to take 50,000 out of facilities reserves to get the office furniture in place and start renovating that room so we can be ready for the new staff coming on board.
Okay, thank you very much for your report. Are there any comments? Okay, Member Taylor and then Member Cox.
So where's the room again? It's behind here. And how many square feet is that? Through the chair, sorry, to Craig.
Through the chair, the member, that's actually a good question. I didn't measure out. I would guess that's probably on my head, 9 square feet. So,
and that would accommodate 4 staff members. Is that what you're saying?
4 to 5, yep.
Okay, and the C-CAN would be located in the same quadrant?
Through the chair of the member, yeah, we would locate it just at the parking lot up back there, so at the edge of the parking.
And as we learned in the last planning meeting, C-cans will be allowed on our zoning here, correct? I'll look over to Ms. Vanderbilt there. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Member Cox.
Yeah, through the chair, I think this is a great idea. I think it'll work. And I want to thank staff for doing this, but I also looking very much forward to the plans coming in so we can get moving on. So this will help us get moving on. And the C-can will be put to good use because all those things that are stored there can now have a spot. Thank you.
Okay, any other comments from the committee? No, seeing none. Oh, sorry, Member McIntyre.
Just one quick question through the chair. How many employees are we trying to house in the next little while?
Madam CEO.
Well, you won't know that until the next month or so when the org review comes forward to you. It's just about done. But right now we're in the process of hiring an economic development officer that we have nowhere to put. I did suggest to the mayor that I may have to kick him out of his office for a few minutes, which is not an ideal situation. We have students sitting in boardrooms because we have nowhere to put them, which means we actually have nowhere to meet. So right now we need 3 or 4 spaces, and then whatever the org review and council determines for the next 10 years. So we're a chocker block here for sure.
Thank you. Through the chair, have we ever considered an Armstrong trailer or anything of that nature that we could park somewhere around here where the incoming staff could use the washroom and the kitchen facilities, a portable at school port, anything of that nature? And thank you.
Thank you. We did review that idea on a temporary basis because council's already given us the go ahead to look at an office expansion. So but when we were kicking around that idea, we did talk about it. It's not ideal. We decided that storage was better suited to be outdoors than staff, because then you got to put your coat and your boots on to go to the washroom or come to the counter or all of those customer service things that we want to do. So we did look at it, but that was not our preferred option.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I see no further comments. So could I ask the clerk for a motion, please?
Certainly, the motion reads that Recreation Report number R24-007 dated May 22nd, 2024 regarding additional office space options be received, and further that council directs staff to renovate meeting room 3 in the administrative center to accommodate current and projected staffing needs, and further that council approve an additional $50,000 to be funded from facilities reserves for the renovation of meeting room 3 and the purchase of a C-can for storage purposes.
Thank you. Do I have a mover? Moved by Member Burkett, seconded by Member Brennan. All in favor? And carried. Thank you. We're on item F3, administration. Item F3.1, administration report A24-016, closed meeting investigator. And this is going to the clerk, please.
Thank you. So we have been under the umbrella of the county's contract with LAS, which is the local area local area service contract piece through AMO for the last X number of years since this whole closed meeting investigator piece commenced, which is quite normal at the time. Back when the closed meeting provisions came into effect, which very much predate the integrity commissioner provisions by almost 10 years. The Ombudsman's office was new into the looking into of closed meetings. The past Ombudsman had never looked into the what they call the MUSH sector, so municipalities, universities, school boards, and hospitals. Very much, it was new to them. He had pushed very hard to have oversight to it, was granted it, and that's when these closed meeting investigator provisions came into place. So that said, at the time, there was a lot going on. The Ombudsman's office was staffing up. It was a very different world than what we have now, which has a lot of these integrity, openness, accountability provisions in place now that we didn't back then. So most municipalities went with the third-party contract at the time. As you can see in the appendix, Most municipalities are starting to ease away from that. Half the county has now gone to using the provincial ombudsman rather than the LAS service because of the change in ombudsman as well that's happened since this originally started. So the county of Simcoe considered a report at the governance committee meeting about 2 months ago now, and has chosen that at the end of this year, they will default as well to the provincial ombudsman's office. So we're seeking, and my recommendation is that given how much time has passed and how much experience the ombudsman's office now has under their belt in dealing with municipal complaints, and specifically this only applies to closed meeting investigations, that we default to them starting with the new year as well.
Thank you very much. Any comments or questions from the committee? Nope, seeing none. May we have a motion?
Certainly, the motion reads that administration report number A24-016, dated May 22nd, 2024, regarding closed meeting investigator be received, and that as of January 1st, 2025, the Ontario Ombudsman provide closed meeting investigator services for the Township of Severn, and that notification of this decision be provided to Local Area Service Ltd, LAS, the Ontario Ombudsman, and the County of Simcoe.
Thank you. Do I have a mover? Moved by Member Cox, seconded by Member Taylor. All in favor? Thank you, and carried. So I'm going to the clerk, looking at the time. We're going to, oh, sorry, we have one more thing under administration report, and then we're going to the consent agendas that are pulled. Okay. F3.2 admin report A24-017 land acquisition, part of St. Amant Road from 2645 St. Amant Road. Over to the clerk, please.
Thank you. So Cinema Road is historically what they call a forced road. So it was a road that was imposed on private property, and the road was not dedicated as a public road. Many of our roads run along road allowances, but this is an exception. We have a few that are called either trespass roads or forced roads that over time we have gained ownership of. Peninsula Point Road was a trespass road back in its original state. So this is another one that falls into the term forced road. The names are kind of used interchangeably. So we've started acquiring pieces of Santa Ma Road years ago. This is the last piece. So this is a good news story for us that they'll be willing to sell it to us for $1. I mean, granted, they're getting a natural severance out of it, but it's an estate sale. So this is a prime opportunity to get this done. So it's just, we're just on the cost side, we're sharing, each pay our own legals, and we split the survey cost 50-50.
Okay, thank you. Is there any discussion? Member Cox?
Through the chair, I'm assuming to either the clerk or the director of public works. Is River Street a forest? Something sticks in my head, but I just wondered.
So through the chair, I may not be able to confidently answer that, but I do know that the right-of-way varies significantly, the right-of-way width.
Yeah.
And down to spots where we have like 12 meters, where we would actually like to see 20 meters. And in this instance, closer to 26 for the collector road status. So we certainly have substandard right-of-way width there. And Michael Land Drive is a forest road.
That's okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Member Taylor?
Yeah, another one in my ward is part of Irish Line is Forest Road. But I think this is a good deal all around, and it's I think we should go for it.
Thank you. May I have a motion, please?
Certainly, the motion reads that administration report number A24-017 dated May 22nd, 2024, regarding a land acquisition being part of Santa Ma Road from 2645 Santa Ma Road be received, and that staff proceed with the land acquisition for the purchase price of $1, and that the required land acquisition and road dedication bylaws be brought forward to the next meeting of council.
Thank you. Do I have a mover? Moved by Member Taylor, seconded by Member Brennan. All in favor? Thank you, and carried. Okay, we're going to the consent agenda now. 2 items were pulled. We'll start with D 2.1, Minister for Seniors and Accessibility Seniors Month 2024. I've pulled that. Do I need to pass the chair? Okay, Member Brennan, could I ask you as vice to chair this segment?
Yes. Proceed then.
Okay, formalities. So I've pulled the agenda item that has attached to it Minister Cho's Seniors Month release, media release. June is Seniors Month in the province of Ontario. And we have so many opportunities to recognize our seniors and hold things for them. I know that during the pandemic, one very active seniors group in Washego stopped operating for obvious reasons. And I was in touch with the organizers, and they don't have anyone who stepped forward to organize it. Having said that, I'm looking to my council colleagues to see if there's an appetite to do something for seniors in the township. And I'm thinking of something as simple as recognition tea with council or something like that. I myself came to this municipality, first time in this building was around in my work with seniors as a volunteer in the community. So I did approach the township staff to see about myself hosting a tea or doing some kind of a meeting, just to see if we wanted to create space and an opportunity for them to get together and then organize themselves again in the community. So I'm just going to leave it at that, to see if as a council that there was an interest in doing so. And I know for myself, I would absolutely step up and be the lead organizer together with whoever else to make something happen, if that was the direction.
Thank you. Any comments or concerns from members? Did you forward a motion on this? No. I'm going to defer to the clerk to see if she can help us with a possible motion on this.
So, and member Minnings and I spoke before today's meeting, and I've updated the director of recreation on the request too. So are you looking to hold something this year or next year? Because right now we don't have budget to hold it for this year. So, and it's next month. So, and we spoke about that. So it could be something where we plan for next year and bring it forward. And
thank you. And through the chair to the clerk. Yes, I'm happy to do something going forward, starting in 2025, where council could actually do something like that. And then perhaps there's an opportunity in November when we look at next year's budget to allocate a small amount of funds to do that, and also to communicate it out. I know that our MP and our MPP do something annually representing the county of Simcoe, and it's very well attended. There's, I think, almost 200 seniors this year, and over 50 exhibitors that provide service and products for seniors. So I would be very happy with that. And then as for what I might do as a citizen or in my community on a smaller scale, then I would go ahead and do that just separate and apart.
Thank you. So I'm assuming then we're going to have a motion to develop an option or options for an activity for Seniors Month starting in 2025. Oh, sorry, there's a request to speak. Go ahead.
Yeah, just for prior, I think member Cox was ahead of me. Yeah, prior to COVID, Matchadash used to have senior lunches. It was well attended. We had at least one or two a year, and this might promote us. So we'll do one in June of 2025. Thanks.
Thank you. Member Cox.
Yeah, through the chair. Maybe that we can't do it this year, but I would assume that maybe we could talk to our communication officer just to put out a little blurb that it's Seniors Month, which she probably will anyway, because she's usually on top of all those things. My other concern is, and we can speak to it at budget time, is if we're going to do this for seniors, we need to make sure that we're going to may need to have to do it for another group too. So we just have to be cognizant of that. Thank you.
Any further comments? Comments or questions? All right. Refer to the clerk then.
thank you. And just before this wraps up, the other part of the correspondence was nominations for Senior of the Year. Did council have a name they wanted to put forward? Or are we not, or did we want to skip that for this year? It's perfectly fine to skip for a year. It comes up every year, so.
Hi, to the clerk, if we could include that as part of our go forward strategy, also in recognizing Seniors Month, so that there's lead up and community involvement, nominations, etc. Thank you.
Further questions? Yes. Member Burkett.
And thank you for bringing it forward. Should we have some sort of committee that looks at volunteer committee of some sort that, or is it hard to get volunteers as with any, just a thought?
Member Cox?
Yeah, through the chair, I would like that, maybe it's something we should discuss, because we at one time, this council at one time, and I couldn't remember to look it up in the policy procedure, but I'm sure the clerk can tell me, is that we used to do a volunteer recognition every year, and it wasn't just seniors, we recognized our volunteers and put it out. So I would like to see that come forward at the same time.
Thank you. Through the CEO?
Yep. We are already on looking at a volunteer recognition. I think we were looking at doing it once a term rather than annually, because it just got to be too much. But I know the manager of HR and her new helper have that on their work plan.
Thank you very much.
Yes,
That's good.
thank you, Madam CEO. Does that answer your question, Member Burkett? Any further questions? Can we please have a motion?
Certainly. So, and it's a draft. So the motion right now reads that staff be directed to organize a seniors event in June 2025, and that funding be brought forward in the draft 2025 budget, and for that staff report back as to a process for nominations for Senior of the Year in future years to the Culture and Recreation Advisory Committee.
Great. And a mover? Member McIntyre, Member Cox, second. All in favor? That's great. Someday when I'm a senior, I'll really look forward to this.
Thank you for chairing. I'll take that back now. So we're on item under correspondence D 2.2, Shelley Hossack, traffic concerns on Wainman line. Over to Member Cox, please.
Yeah, through the chair. I pulled this and I talked to Member Brennan about it. I would like to see the traffic numbers on that. And I think maybe we should put the black cat up just to say that, to figure it out if there is speeding, which I'm sure there is, but we need to have some backup for it through the chair to the Director of Public Works, right? Like we can't just change things until we do some background research and some numbers. And I think that would be a good thing to do, because as we heard from our town hall meetings, speeding was our biggest issue we had. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Brennan.
Yeah, yes, and I agree that we should have a look at it. For Ward 3, at least, the only other place I'm aware of where there's been a 50 zone designated is on New Hampshire line by Ripley Street there. And I'm not sure, but there must have been some measurements or some sort of analysis done to bring that. I don't know the history there, but I do have concerns with randomly dropping the 60s to 50 in these areas. So if there's justification according to some of the determinations that you put into these things, then so be it. Thank you.
Thank you. Over to the clerk. Do we have a motion, please?
I do. So the motion reads the staff be directed to deploy the black cat device to review the speed on Wainman line and report back.
Thank you. Do I have a mover? Moved by Member Brennan, seconded by Member Cox. All in favor? And carried. Thank you very much. So that completes the consent agenda and the items that were pulled from it. New business. Could I ask Member Brennan, you have... Oh, sorry, Member Burkett. I was looking at you, not Member Brennan. Oh, we'll need the microphone actually. So if you don't mind. Okay, you're going to do it from your chair? Okay. Thank you.
Anyways, I have an announcement to make. I'm very proud of this person, actually. not only does they, can't say he or she, so I'll keep it a secret as to who it is. They go above and beyond the call of duty, not only of working here, but have taken it upon themselves to become the okay, I can't. I'm gonna have to say who it is. I can't. I just got. All right, Madam CAO is now the president of the OMAA. Congratulations. Council would like to recognize the election of the township's chief administrative officer, Laurie Kennard, as president of the board of directors for the Ontario Municipal Administrators Association as of May the 17th. The OMAA is comprised of CAOs and high-level municipal members representative of Ontario's varied geographic areas and includes a mixture of upper, lower, and single-tiered municipalities committed to promoting the value of professional management in local government. Laurie has served on the OMAA board of directors since 2019 and was previously second vice president and first vice president. Laurie is a seasoned public service professional with over 30 years of leadership experience, and she has served on numerous municipal, for-profit, and non-for-profit boards of directors and is a strong supporter of excellence in corporate governance. As the administrative head of the municipality and council's advisor on its operations and affairs, Laurie has been instrumental in helping us achieve our goals. Considering the professionalism and care that Laurie demonstrates while undertaking the everyday work of managing the Township of Severn, the OMAA has selected well and has a leader that will effectively support the board in its mission to foster leadership and excellence in public service. On behalf of all council, I would like to congratulate you, Ms. Kennard, on this significant professional achievement. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. That's very kind. I think the 30 years is a typo though, because I'm only 29, so I'm not sure how that is possible. Those are beautiful. And thank you so much. That's very kind.
I just want to add, Laurie is our CAO and our employee, but when you look at when she goes above and beyond to become the president of another organization, I must commend you. I don't know where you find the time trying to do what you do here on your, like, she'll tell me, not to bother on a Sunday, but she can bother me, and I love it. Which is fine, but she's always working. It doesn't matter. It's 24/7 for her, and I need to respect her time. But and I love it when you text me. It's fine. You're not bothering me at all to keep me in the loop. But when you go above and beyond the call of duty, when you're always thinking about what happens in this municipality and what happens to us and your staff. So to go above and beyond and become a president of the, like, it is a feat, and I commend you on what you've done. Congratulations.
Thank you, Your Worship. That's very kind. The OMA gives me energy. I come back from those meetings so energized. There's so many amazing, talented people who think about things that I don't think about or think about in ways that I don't think about. So it gives me more energy to do what I do. I love being president of OMA, being a member of OMA. It's an excellent organization.
Well, congratulations. That's wonderful. Yes, thank you, Member Burkett, for that. Okay, so we are going to go to item H, committee member updates. And I will start with Member Taylor, Ward 1, please.
Okay, thank you to the chair. 4 items here. Severn Sound Environmental Association. We had our last meeting April 25th. We're working on the 2025 budget. Originally started at 11.4%, but staff are working hard to get it down to 2.68%. So we'll have that budget hopefully approved in June, available for our review in October, November. May 2nd, we had our 4th webinar that dealt with approvals and permissions for invasive species legislation. It went very well. Good work for Severn Sound Environmental Association for hosting it, MNRF for presenting it, and Councillor Brennan for setting it up. So it worked out very well. April 26th, Source Protection Authority. That's like an overview of the area, and they have a score of majority of source protection planning policies have been implemented and or progressing. So they're looking very well. Cowater Mill, there's activities planned for the duck race this Saturday. There's kid games, vendors there. We're set up for students for the summer, and the mill is going to be a busy spot this summer in Coldwater. Matchdash Community Heritage Center, we, as mentioned earlier, we hosted our euchre party on May 24th, as well attended, and the funds raised there, which is over $2,300, will go towards paint and cleanup. So it was a good day all around, and I'll pass over to Ward 3.
Okay, so not Ward 2, okay. Ward 2 member, thank you. I'm going to go to Ward 2, Member Jansen.
Thank you very much. First, I would just like to say congratulations to Madam CAO. I think that's a huge accomplishment. I know I'm not in the room right now, and I'm sure after the meeting's over, my fellow council colleagues will be coming over to congratulate you personally. I wish I could do the same. I belong to the BIA in Coldwater. I'd just like to let everybody know the upcoming events that are coming up. The Lions Club has the duck race. The BIA is supporting that. That's happening on May the 25th. It'll be a busy day in the village of Coldwater. We've got June 1st, the garage sale day. It's community-wide. We've got Discover Coldwater coming up on July the 13th. I'd also like to recognize one of the board members that has resigned in the past week or two, Georgianne Gilchrist, and I want to thank her for the service that she provided, not only to the board, but also to her service to our community. For Seg Bay Chamber of Commerce, the last meeting in April, they held a membership appreciation event that went well. Their Seg Bay TV program that they've got running tourism ads at the local gas station there, right beside the Brissette House in Port Severn, is going very well. They may still have some advertising space available if anybody out there would like some. It's promoting local businesses as well as tourism opportunities in Severn and Georgian Bay Township and area. The chamber is growing. We're adding new members on a regular basis, almost monthly. There are 2 events coming up that I'd like to share. On May the 28th, a Business After 5 event at Taylor Docks, and a fraud awareness breakfast that'll be taking place on May 29th. And that's my report.
Thank you very much. We'll go to Ward 3 and Member Brennan, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, for the Physician Recruitment Committee, I can tell you that for the area, we have a new psychiatrist starting in January. So apparently we are at what they call capacity for that particular position in the area now. We have 2 family doctors starting in January. We have 2 hot leads on the go. So things are looking up. Unfortunately, we still have the big challenge that we have as many retirements as we do. Every time we recruit, someone seems to retire. But full energy on that stuff, and keep you posted. The also for the Otis Park work, just wanted to let you know the monster truck event is on this weekend for those of you who are into monster trucks. And also we have a meeting coming up with the president of the board and Director Belfry to discuss ways we might enhance each other's activities and promote greater recreational tourism operations through the Agricultural Forum. So I look forward to introducing them then. I don't think you've met at all yet, have you? No. And I can sadly tell you that they have dropped the concept of bringing in the dome. One of the arguments that was put forward was that the developer fees, which are based on square footage, not based on commercial value, are just too high to encourage the kind of investment they need for this. I think that's just one of the challenges. I also think that finding, they were quite hopeful that one or two known organizations might come in and back it, and that just didn't happen. So we want a dome in Severn Township. We're going to have to think about building one ourselves. But anyway, that's another day. And finally, for the Aurelian District Chamber of Commerce, our meeting actually for this month is not till next week. They postponed it because of the holiday, but we did have the AGM this month, and I wanted to thank the mayor and the deputy mayor for showing the colors at that event. It was well attended, and it certainly is very much appreciated. You could tell by how people react to seeing the top brass at events such as this. So it's great. And that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're going to go to Ward 5, please, Member McIntyre.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For my report, will be consisting of discussing the Canada Day Parade, July the 1st. We're lucky to have two other members of our council sit in this committee, Member Minnings and Member Cox. Both do a yeoman's job on the parade. Anyone who in council who wishes to walk in the parade are welcome to speak to Judith about it. I think we've got 4 here: Wanda, Judith, Mike, and myself, and we're opening it up to anybody else. We're happy to see you. What else have I got here? MP and the MPP will be in the parade, as I understand it. Our parade organizer excellence is Kathy Westcott, and she does yeoman's work along with a number of other committee people. The Lions Club will have a pancake breakfast beginning at 8:30 and running till about 11:30, as I understand it. Our parade will begin at 1 o'clock. We've got permission from the Roman Catholic Church to lobby and marshal there, and we've got permission from our friend Thomas Kim to go through his restaurant parking lot. At the end of it all, the road will be blocked from 169 and Muskoka Street for approximately 2 hours. Now, the Lions Club's got 8 musical groups that will be performing in front of the Lions Hall. They've renovated a space there for that to take place. They'll have a beer garden, of course. I don't think anybody here is interested in that, but maybe the public might be. And we have a musical group that's going to perform in front of the hotel on a hay wagon stage, and it'll be hosted by our friend Glenn Hudgens, and the group is going to play for 2 hours, 1 hour prior to the parade and 1 hour after. We'd really like to see as many people from our township attend, and we look forward to having a marvelous day on Canada Day, July the 1st. That's my report.
Thank you very much. Shall I go next, or shall we go to the deputy and the mayor? Okay, I'll go next for Ward 4. Thank you. So busy month. Together with the mayor, I attended the Aurelia Bike Challenge launch event for municipalities and the city of Aurelia, and it was very well attended. I know information is on the Severn website for more information. The West Shore Events Committee, that was a recipient of one of the township's grants, is well underway and formed and busy planning their second event, which will happen in July. More information coming. May 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, together with our Deputy Mayor Judith Cox, attended the OSUM, the Ontario Small Urban Municipalities Conference, which was held in Aurelia, and just a fantastic experience and very well attended. The Aurelia Library Board, I sit on that, and on Mother's Day weekend, I attended an event that they had their terrarium making in their maker space that was really fantastic and also well attended. And earlier in the morning, an event at a nursery on Coopers Falls Road, Newscape, to make planter boxes. So together with like the Wishego Garden Group and other groups that are out and about offering services, trying to make some money now that the weather's good. It's really great to go and meet people at those. And I'm going to leave the details for our deputy mayor, but excited to go to my second duck race parade this Saturday. Over to you, deputy.
Okay, through the chair, I did send out last night the presentations from OSIM. If anybody wanted to read them, they came out. At the county, we have the Simcoe County Hospital Alliance. They come to us because we give them money every year, the county does. And they had some very interesting statistics. There were 360, we have 7 hospitals that we support in Simcoe County. One of them is it's South Lake, but because of Bradford, West Goldenberry, we do offer them some financial support too. Emergency department visits, 363,330. Physicians, 1,971. Employees, 12,492. And cardiac cases, 11,800. Births, 6,000. Cancer cases, 96,000. So it's a very interesting stats. I will send this to you so everybody can have it. The other one that we had that was interesting is Simcoe Village in Beaton. And I don't know if you've ever been to the one, but there's one called Georgian Village in Penetanguishene in Simcoe County. Was instrumental of Jane Sinclair in starting it. So it has places you can live and have help. Then there's a place that you move on to and you go on and on. Anyway, this one will be, it's up and they've actually got a lot of the work done on it. It's $6.2 million. The county of Simcoe is engaged in fundraising, so they need to raise $6.2 million. The other one I wanted to speak to was a program to increase organics. I will send that report out to you too. It's the county has come up with this idea that if you don't put your garbage out, if you put your garbage out and you don't put out your organics, they aren't going to pick up the garbage. Well, they can, trust me. And it passed, but it probably will be brought forward again. It only passed at committee of the whole. Many counselors came up with ideas, and I've talked to other staff. They've come up with ideas to do a little more of a soft touch before we get into that, because there are many people, especially in the rural areas, that do composting on their own, and they only have to put it out. So the one counselor said, so you want us to drag the organic cart with nothing in it just so we can get our garbage picked up. So there's a bit of a, and then there's people who want exceptions, and then how do you do the exceptions? So it's going to be quite controversial, because usually waste is controversial, as we all know. I have a few other things I will send you. It's on Tourism Simcoe County Work Plan, update on investment attraction activities, and a program, manufacturing sector initiatives update. And I wasn't sure maybe if I should also forward them to our communication person, because eventually our EDO may be interested in them. The library in Coldwater is a booming little spot. They've had authors in, they've had stained glass. I'm doing a rock painting thing tonight after our meeting. And they are very active in the community. So I will give them that. And it's a very busy spot. We are also watching what's happening in Tay Township, our library is, because the library board in Tay has 3 libraries, Wabashine, Victoria Harbor, and Port McNichol. They've had a presentation, and they have to make a decision on, are they going to build a new one in Port McNichol? Are they going to fix the one in Port McNichol? Or are they just going to utilize other library services, which would affect our Coldwater Library, because Wabashine is very close, and so is part of Featherton, which is part of Tay. So we're waiting to see what's happening with that, because it's a high cost and they have other capitals. And yes, the duck race is this weekend. The parade's at 12:30. If you want to walk in the parade, it's be at the school by 12 on Gray Street, and 2 o'clock, the 7,000 ducks are going into the river. And we were worried, but I don't think we have a lot of ducks left to sell. So we've done, the Lions Club has done very well in Coldwater. I have to commend that club. We do so much work, and there's only like 25 of us or 30, and we cover that whole day. And I want to thank Director Belfry for helping us out with the parking, and behind the flower over there, Public Works Administrator, making sure that all our barricades are there, and have helped us with that too. So I really appreciate it, and Lions Club do too. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your update. Member Taylor has a comment.
Just a question through the chair to Judith. As far as the garbage goes, have they thought about clear bags? And I'm glad you brought up the compost, because what do you put an empty one out there? So I just like to know that.
I'll let the mayor speak. Clear bags.
Okay, so let's go to the mayor for your update, please.
Thank you. So just to add to that, so clear bags become an issue. Apparently, like what's in there is our own, like it's a privacy issue. So that was bantered back and forth. As far as putting an empty one out, it's got to have stuff in it. They're not going to. Really? I didn't hear that. Well, I didn't vote in favor of it, just to let you know. But it's contentious because it's not going to save our landfills. So we have a problem in the county of Simcoe where I think 27, we no longer have any landfill capacity. They'll all be closed. There'll be transfer stations. And to bring another landfill into anywhere in Ontario is a problem. And I know Toronto, the city of Toronto, it will be capped out. I think they're taking it down past Chatham somewhere. I think it's full 2030 or 2031. And you look at the exploded growth with 1.5 million more homes, I think it's going to be full before that. Not sure how we're going to address it. Sit on the airport committee. I can't tell you because it was in camera, but if this happens, what they say it's going to happen, it's going to be explosive for this area. Like I'm not going to say anything else. Our warden, like that airport is a gem. Like it was hidden, but I don't think we understand what it's going to bring to all of us in the county of Simcoe. Our warden is off to Japan. I think he's probably home out now. I asked him to leave his cowboy boots at home because he's representing all of us, and he didn't take them with him. He took his work boots, he said. But Japan is Honda is opening their battery facility in Alliston. So out of respect, the Japanese culture want to honor whoever's in charge of the county of Simcoe. So I think 3 economic staff also went with them, or maybe 4, and they have a presentation, they have a booth. And I'm excited to hear on Tuesday, next Tuesday, we have a meeting, how it went and what he actually saw. I attended Trillium Manor for the county to honor to recognize the volunteers. And the only reason I'm bringing it up is there was a 100-year-old lady that got up to speak, and she was absolutely amazing. There wasn't a hair, she had it just perfect. And the way she spoke, it was so well done, but she recognized because they look forward. You've got people that are in any one of our homes that look forward to anyone coming to say hello. And it's sad when you look at what, like, it's just so well done what the county does. I know the county takes a rap for a lot of things, but when you look how they're well organized, and it stems from Jane Sinclair and her team, everyone underneath her, and the job that she does for all of our seniors in the county of Simcoe, it's just amazing. And those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you very much. First to Member Brennan for a comment, please.
Yeah, the garbage one is fascinating. I have 3 composters, and I do use a green bin because you can't compost everything. Some nasty stuff goes into your organics. Chicken in particular is brutal. But anyway, it'll be interesting to see how that goes over. Sounds like a lead balloon to me. But I did forget to mention in the last month that I spent some time in Midland, and there was a letter acknowledging, I don't know who else from here might have been there, that our presence. So I was at a McHappy Day. We were invited to that. I attended the Midland one. Met some fascinating people from our surrounding neighborhoods. But I just wanted to say that, yeah, and that was a fundraiser. 50% was for the MRI for the Georgia Bay Hospital that we support through the golf club activities we do.
But, and the other was for McDonald House. Just gotta say, I met two people there who had used that services. I'm not in favor of some of McDonald Corporation's activities and things. But when it comes to that McDonald House, it's stunning. Well, one person I talked to, their baby was born 4 months premature, and they spent 4 solid months in that facility where their child was in, I think it was Women's Hospital. The other one that came through, I was basically begging for money through the drive-through. The other one that came through that was fascinating was an individual whose child needed a heart operation at 4 months of age. They were also down there. It was something to do with the number 4 that day that just kept repeating itself. Anyway, you really come to appreciate just how important those facilities are. One of them told me, it's just like in the commercial. Anyway, I wanted to acknowledge that. Great job by McDonald's Corporation up there. They guess they own 3 of them. The people that run the Midland one, and I forget where the other one is. There's 2 in Midland, but they did a great job, and I think they had a very successful day, raising money for some very good causes. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Burkett.
Yes, I forgot one thing. Does everyone know what Vickers is? The victim services that is provided. So they had a presentation, an award ceremony for some of the recipients last Thursday here at Hawkridge, and I attended, but they came from Caledon, Kawartha, North Simcoe, Simcoe County, Peterborough, Northumberland, Muskoka. And it isn't like, it's victims of crisis, and when something happens and the police show up and you've got whatever happened in the home, these volunteers go above and beyond to console, to help people that are in crisis, and it was very nice. They hadn't had it since 2019, pre-COVID, but it was nice to hear some of the stories and what we're so blessed to have in our area when something does happen.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for your updates. I will go to this Chief Administrative Officer, please, for your updates.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the beautiful flowers and the kind recognition. There was a LinkedIn post about my presidency that I connected the Township of Severn to, and it got 2,000 views. So it helps put the township on the map for sure. And very exciting for me. I was at the OMA Spring Workshop, and I always come back, learned lots and energized. The topics this month, or this session, dominated by cybersecurity and diversity, equity, inclusion. Both are big topics here. So I came back with lots of new information, and I'm sure the staff hate when I go because I spend the time texting, have we done this? Have we thought about this? I saw this great idea. So that was great. And just an update for council, our economic development officer posting closed on Friday. I haven't got through them all, but we got over 40 applications and some really, really good ones. So I am encouraged by the quality of applications that we've seen. So hopefully in the next month or 2, we'll have somebody on board to work on our new plan.
Thank you very much. That's certainly exciting, and 40 people want to come to Severn, so I'm not surprised. I'm just thrilled. Okay, we don't have any items for closed session. Is that correct? Okay. May I have a motion for adjournment, please?
Certainly. Motion reads that this meeting is hereby now adjourned at 10:51 a.m.
Okay, and moved by Member Taylor, seconded by Member Cox. All in favor? And carried. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful day.